Hello everybody and welcome to the Creative Amplifiers show. It is a Monday and we're back, and today we're going to be talking about us stuff. It's the Creators Chit Chat show. We're going to be talking about things that we do on a day-to-day basis, our weekly workflow, some tools we've been playing with, just some fun stuff. So come and join us. Join us in the comments, ask away any questions about what we do from a day-to-day and video production, all that kind of stuff. But first of all, let's just say hello to Lisa and Mark. How are you both doing today?
I'm good. Great to be back. And I'm a little bit more rested than you, Neil. You seem to have had a busy day. So we're able to take the lead from you. If you just need a bit of 5 minutes out, just let us know.
That's great. I'll talk to you in 35 minutes. No, anyway, so Lisa, how are you?
No, you're not getting off like that.
No, of course not.
I'm great.
Good.
I'm great. All is well in the world.
Great. Well, as Mark alluded to, today's been a bit of a mare. So we were going to talk about things that we do outside of this show. Every week we always come together and we create this content, and we do weekly posts on Substack. Well, we used to do weekly posts. We do posts on Substack, and we create all our content as well separately as individuals. We're both sort of solopreneurs that do sort of different projects and things. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And it's just a bit more of an informal chat about stuff that we do. So maybe I'll just start with my day and then we can talk about what we do for each other. So today I just had three back-to-back sessions with clients, which is great, paid clients, and a couple of pre-sales calls that came in as well. Now, typically how I do my Mondays is that I book time in my calendar that's basically not allowed for clients to come in and join me and do stuff like that. I book time out so I can do social posting and prep for this show and do various other things. And today, that didn't go to plan because I didn't block out my calendar. I have a Calendly system that's set up, and we can talk about that a little bit later, whereby people can come in and book time with me, either paid time or some free time from a pre-sales perspective. I didn't book out my calendar effectively enough today, and therefore ended up having some back-to-back calls, which was great. But now I'm a little bit frazzled and just trying to catch up with the rest of the day, and it's already 8 o'clock here. So yeah, it's been an interesting day, but these are the types of things that I guess you have to deal with if you're a solopreneur. You never know when sort of business can come in, and all these projects were booked over the weekend, which is quite unusual as well, which I'm grateful for, but it's sometimes life throws you a little bit of a curveball. So how's your days been, and how do you plan your weeks?
Well, I think the multiple calendar thing, I've been sort of going down that rabbit hole slightly because I've been planning out my next few weeks and months, and it's got multiple versions of calendars for interviews for my Education on Fire podcast. And interestingly thing for that is that what I've been doing is it's usually an interview show, and I get different guests on each week, and it's about creative and inspiring learning. So basically, if you think about a child at the center of it, anybody that's doing something which is supporting a child to have their better life, not just the education system but around it. So it might be that you're a mentor, you might be a parent, you might be a teacher. I'll have authors come on, but if what they're producing, especially if it's outside the traditional classroom as it were, then I find that really interesting, and it's sort of supporting the next generation, and especially as the education system is still about 150 years out of date, if not more, then it's always great to see how that can change. But the reason, yeah. So what I'm doing coming up, which is different, is rather than just having a rotation of guests on every week, I've actually got someone who approached me and said he's been part of my community for a while. I've interviewed him before, but he had a book that came out a few months ago, and he said, "How about doing something together? I'm not quite sure what it'll look like, but what do you think about this?" And he's an absolute expert in his field, and I was actually thrilled that he sort of reached out. So I thought it's really good, having done sort of 460 odd episodes. I thought actually to mix it up in a way that was a bit organic would be really good. So we're actually going to sort of focus sort of 10 weeks on this one particular guest. We're going to go through each chapter of the book. We're going to dive in a little bit from there. We're going to talk around the subjects a little bit with some live streams as well, get some extra guests come on. We're going to probably do like we've done here on Creative Amplifiers, have some people come into Zoom and then bring them in and out and have some conversations. So to have a sort of a dedicated season, which I haven't done for a very long time, is going to be quite an exciting thing, and I'm looking forward to diving into it.
That sounds really good, and it's a different approach, right? And it's, as you said, it's different from your regular podcast. It's almost like a virtual book club where you can read those various chapters and start to ask questions and so on. And did he co-author this with anybody else, or is this a book that he's done on his own?
No, it's him. I think he's actually on record as saying he prefers not writing and he likes talking. Hence the reason the podcast is going to be really good.
Oh, cool.
So I think he sat down with somebody, and it's all his words, it's all his thing, and so it was then the question of sort of picking all the bits in history, because it's basically like an autobiography, but based on all of his experience as a teacher. He set up something called the Children's University in Kidzania, and he's basically sort of keynoted all around the world doing things. So it's sort of all of that history, all of those things, and then a little look of kind of that's what he's experienced, what he's seen works, which is kind of the same as it always has, if you could do that. But obviously the schooling system sort of stuck where it is, and then taking that conversation forward about what could it look like in the future, how AI and technology is going to make a big difference, and I think people sort of doing their own thing around sort of the traditional system, and if at what stage it may or may not break completely, and then move on and how it might look after that.
It is nice to mix things up, I think, isn't it, from a content perspective as well, because it can get a little bit samey if you're doing day in, day out the same type of workflow and stuff. Is that something that you work with as well, Lisa? You know, when you're working with other clients, everybody's different, right? They'll want different things. You're not doing the same projects all the time.
No, not the same projects, but what I've found, because I have my own thing, I have my an appetizing life and the Substack, kind of that I use that kind of as a testing ground. So I'm always looking and researching and playing with new tools and different ways to approach how I put my content out there. And if something doesn't necessarily work for me, I can give it to a client that it will work for them. And so that makes it makes the work week not quite as monotonous, because I'm testing and I'm playing and kind of using myself as a guinea pig right now, with my brand. My week usually looks like, we do Mondays, and then I try to get all of our content done between today or tonight and tomorrow. So as soon as the full show is up, I can take it and I can start to, download it, and then start to do all the different pieces of content that are going to go onto Substack or onto Instagram, and do all the shorts, and then write all the captions and all that stuff, and then thankfully for later, that app that will allow me to schedule everything, because if I didn't have that, that would be problematic. But I can get everything up, so then the rest of the week I'm not worried about our content. Then I can focus on my own content, doing basically the same thing, and then also focus on helping the clients I help figure out what is their content calendar, acting as a digital strategist of, be on this platform, not on that platform. This is how you should approach it. So I have to say right now, my work week and my workflow has been a lot of fun, because I've got my paws in all the AI tools. You guys know that I'm always like, hey, did you try this? And so it's like this kind of laboratory situation happening right now for me, but I'm really, really enjoying it. So that's my week of just investigating and trying and testing.
I think you've applied your cookery skills to AI skills now, because you're basically cooking up different AI platforms, right? It's like an ingredients, isn't it? For workflows.
It totally is.
It's the same thing, right? I guess.
It's the same thing, yeah. And I'm actually right now, I'm really into, you and I started talking about it. We got to jump on a call and get into it more. How do you audit? How do you take all this stuff? There's so many different tools. How do you take it and automate it? And which ones do you need? Which ones
Yeah.
don't you need? What do you take and just break down? There's three things that you need to automate. So what tools are going to, you're trying to do everything because there's so much out there. And who knows if it's going to still be there in 6 months? I don't know because they keep one-upping each other.
And then some fall by the wayside, right? That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. And then, 1 week you're like, oh, that's the best. And then the next week it's like, oh, well, that's kind of ancient now because so-and-so came out with this and does this better. So I would say I'm experimenting. Don't do what I do unless you love doing that. But find what works for you and stick with it and don't go after every shiny new ball. Let me do that.
Yeah, you can do that. And then you can tell us all about it and
that.
say, I tried this and it's rubbish. I think I find a problem now, I think, whereby there are so many tools. And you in order for you to get the best out of any tool, you've got to spend a little bit of time with it. And it's a time investment. And as you said, not necessarily like these tools come up and then they disappear or one gets better than the other. But you start investing all this time and then you think, well, maybe this isn't the tool for me. But now you spent like maybe weeks digging into it. And there is also a cost implication because invariably, as you know, these free trials are great. Most of the tools now in AI, they work on credits. As soon as those credits have expired, which they expire extremely quickly, you can only do a few things, especially anything in the video and image space. Those credits disappear very quickly. So then you have to maybe pay for a month and then you pay for 1 month and you don't get anything out of it. Maybe you have to buy more. So there is a little bit of a time investment and money as well. And there's so many tools that are out there. It's like, well, where do I put my time and energy into? And then if you do find a good tool, next point to what you mentioned is how do I then automate maybe that workflow to streamline it so I can get my content out? And do you think repurposing content has got easier over the last 6 months?
Yes, I'm going to say yes and no.
Okay.
There's a yes, no to it.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mark, though.
Yeah, let's see yours first, Mark.
Well, my yes is that it's just quicker, in terms of you can get pretty decent content and clips and shorts and things with a few decent prompts and a little bit of easy editing in a way that I certainly couldn't have done a year ago or so. And so I think from that point of view, it's faster. I think if you deep dive into it and are really good at doing it brilliantly, like Lisa does, then it probably isn't and takes a bit more time. But actually, if you do it not manually, but with that sort of manual idea and the tools, then maybe it's not quite the same. But I think generally I'd go on the side of yes.
Okay.
And I'll agree with your yes. Yes, it's still definitely quicker. But is that deep dive for me? That's why I say no, because then I'm like, well, how can I make this flow a little bit faster? And then I find some little shortcuts. So it's finding those shortcuts, which involves doing a little research because the answer may not be on the platform. The answer might be, I got to go to Perplexity and put in some wild, prompt to get what I'm trying to get out of my head. So I think it's great. Definitely, if I had this, years ago, my life would have been so much easier doing food content on so many different levels and having a blog and trying to, for most blogs, but for a food blog in particular, there's absolutes you have to have for SEO reasons. And so the time that it would take to find that information or to create a FAQ at the end of the recipe or format the recipe or find out, something about an ingredient because you should include that. So if you're doing a thing about lemon pie, you can talk about lemons and how to, how long do they keep, how to buy a good lemon or a bad lemon. That all took time to look in books or look online. If I had, the editing or just the way to find out the information, would have been so much faster. So much faster.
Yeah.
So I welcome it. It's great. But
yeah.
Did you say books?
What did you say?
Books.
Did you say books?
I did say books, and I still look in books.
What's a book? A book. You can imagine this in 10 years' time. A book was one of those things that people... Anyway, it's crazy, right? Let's say hello to a couple of people real quick. Saeed hello, thank you for joining. He says, how you get around planning a show, just talk about us and stuff. That's basically how we get around planning a show. Tonight, especially, we just talk about whatever. We do typically plan stuff out, but it doesn't always have to be a structured show. And I think, and that's the interesting thing that we like to do. And we originally, hey, Keith, thanks for joining us. Hope you're doing well. Long time no see on the show. I think that's what we originally wanted to do. When we set out to do this show, I know we've done our origin story many times, but the crux of the story originally was, let's just hang out, get together, have a chat, because typically the pre-show stuff has some gold in it. And then we always say, we should go live, we should get this done, we should get this recorded. We never do. And then we get on the show and then we have a purpose or something to talk about specifically. Tonight, we're just freeballing it. Anything can happen, and probably will. So that's what we're doing tonight.
To be
it's
fair
also
to us, though,
go ahead.
to be fair to us, we did actually say way back when, didn't we, that we thought, once a month or something, we would actually do this kind of sort of free form. So just sort of to Saeed's point, it wasn't that we decided yesterday that we didn't have a topic. It was in the content calendar, Saeed. And so we were always doing nothing tonight. I mean, no, we were chit-chatting tonight. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and go ahead, Lisa. No, go ahead.
I think it's a chance to ask us questions, because maybe you saw a show or you thought of something and you want to know how we're doing what we're doing and you've never asked. If we're not, I wouldn't like to say off topic, but if we just have ask us anything almost, it's a good opportunity just to find out the behind the scenes. So
yeah, because there's the stuff that we do that's not necessarily related to video content as well. People have hobbies and do other things, and we get into that and stuff as well. And I do think it's important, though, to have a content calendar. I know we talk about planning and workflows, but I think it's really difficult if you don't plan your week from a content perspective, because, I mean, to Lisa's point, you can go down that AI rat hole and spend hours trying to dig through a particular tool, because obviously they're not the most intuitive and you want to see what it can do, and especially how it works in your workflow. And then 3 or 4 hours have passed and you get it from your little dungeon after you've been working on AI all the time, and then you think, oh, now I've got other things to do. So I think a content calendar is important, really, just to keep you focused and, more importantly, to let you have some natural breaks. So do you guys employ some form of content calendar, and also with time blocks to give yourself some space throughout the day, like natural breaks? I used to do that as a network consultant back in the IT days. Our bosses basically said, look, you guys, if you're on back-to-back calls, especially during the pandemic, you need to be able to block at least some time between those, because people invariably would block, back-to-back calls, and they don't do the nice Zoom calls where the 50 minutes allowing you 10 minutes for a bio break and a quick drink of water. Oh no, they're right up to the hour, and then the next one kicks over. So how do you guys plan your week? Is that something you employ? I'm curious what you guys do.
Yeah, that personal time, self-care moment is so important. And that's something I teach people when I'm working with them.
Yeah.
Because everybody, they want to do so much. And I said, do you actually have time to do what you say you want to do?
Right.
There's doctor's appointments. I got to take, the dog to the vet. I need to go work out. I need to prep for dinner. You got to build all that in. And I think people forget, like you said, they, give themselves 3 to 5 minutes in between sessions. And it doesn't keep you fresh. You go into the next session and you're burnt out and you haven't had a chance to breathe. I tell people, go walk outside. I go outside in between if I have back-to-back things, and I'll just go outside and, stare at a plant or something.
But
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just mix it up and just, then come back, get a drink of water, do your bio break, come back, and then proceed forward. Because feeling rushed all the time and feeling like you don't have enough energy, you're not good for yourself, or for if you're working with clients, or for your audience if you're trying to record something.
What about you, Mark?
Well, I used to do 4 or 5. I've definitely done 5 recordings in one day before, but that's pretty
intense.
Hardcore.
Yeah.
But it was partly out of need, in as much as I had limited time to do that. So I'd had a sort of dedicated day a week. And so I got as much in as I could, and it worked from a batching point of view, but it did really sort of then decide that probably isn't so good. Whereas now, I typically record twice within a day. Open my calendar up for that, so it does that. Occasionally, I've got the odd extra thing that can go in there, but I do have a buffer of half an hour between each one when they're doing it. Partly just to, like Lisa said, sometimes I just go out, especially in the summer here, or that sort of works really well. And also sometimes just a tech thing. You just want to reboot your computer, or you just want to check something, or something random happens, and you just want a little bit of time for that not to be a super panic. And plus someone that maybe sort of overspins, or they have a tech issue or something like that. So that makes life, it feels like the days are longer and you've got more control of that. And there's a couple of people who actually live near me who work from home, and they actually walk to work. You see them, they come out of their front door, they walk round the block, walk back into their house, and then they start work, and then they come out and they do the same for their lunch break, and then back again for the rest of the day. So they sort of have that kind of personal space of kind of like, I'm working now, and now I'm not, and you're getting the fresh air and the sort of the bit of exercise and all of that thing as well. So I think to Lisa's point, I think the longer you do these things, the more that kind of really works. And one of the things that I've changed in recent months is, I don't know if people do know this, but I'm still a working musician, and my education side is based around teaching drums and percussion in a couple of schools. And I used to kind of batch everything together, so I'd be sort of doing all my education stuff in one sort of 2 or 3 days, and then the online stuff in 2 or 3 days, and the performing bit comes and goes, as anyone who's self-employed in that sort of industry knows. And so it can get really busy really quickly. But what I'm enjoying much more now, because I'm spending more time doing all of the online stuff and the podcasting and the streaming, is that actually having that in the week is my main objective, in sort of sprinkling some of the other education stuff throughout it feels a lot easier, because it's kind of, I'm just doing it for a day and then I'm back out to do the online stuff, which I'm really enjoying. And also just the sort of the physicality of sort of mixing up when you're doing things differently one day after the other. It sort of feels like a natural break and a kind of a change of rhythm, which I'm really enjoying. And it was only a couple of things within a week, but it really has made a difference so far.
I think getting that time back. So go ahead, Lisa. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Sorry.
I'll say it because I have something in my throat.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was thinking getting that time back is really important, I think, for you individual as well, because it's so easy to get burnt out by just having like non-stop either recording sessions or meetings you have to go to and things like that. And my philosophy now is exactly taking what both of you are doing already, is taking breaks every so often throughout the day. Sometimes if there's a block of time that I have to put together for I've got to edit a podcast, there's a deadline and things. I'm better with deadlines than I am with just saying I'm going to do that later. I need to have a goal set. I need to have something in the calendar that says you need to get this video completed by that time. And last week I put out a ton of videos because I had many videos that I had to do. Omsbot asked me to do one. There was a couple of other videos that I was in the works. And if it's a video for myself that I want to do, that I enjoy, that goes to the bottom of the pile. That gets lost because obviously if there's commitments that I have to do for certain other things that I promise people, and that's the worst thing. I have a problem of saying yes, trying to do the right thing, and then it's a detriment to my own creativity because I end up spending lots of time doing stuff that is fine, but I wish I never said yes. I'll take that product and have a play with it and then do a review for you. Like if I'm interested in something, then yeah, I'll definitely say yes, but sometimes it can be a little bit of a burden. So now having a better plan of what I want to do, and I use Notion, as Lisa does, who's a big lover of Notion, just as a content creation workflow. So it's just simply every video that I have that I'm going to do, the time that it needs to be delivered, and more importantly, when I'm actually going to start shooting this content, because videos take a long time. Any type of video can take a long time, especially if you're not doing like a take one take like Alec, where he's just pressing record, doing a one take and then getting it done. I pride myself in doing the videos where there's a lot more sort of involvement in. There's overhead shots, there's maybe some B-roll, there's lots of other things, and I'm not that great at getting things done in one take. So I want to try and get the messages across as concisely as possible without rambling on too much in the actual videos, especially if it's a tutorial. So that's what I try and do, but that inevitably takes some time. So content calendars work, schedules work, and having some goals work. That's how I break up my time. But basically having those mornings in the garden, morning coffees when it's nice outside, or just my optician told me as well that it's never good not just to keep looking at the screens, but your eyes get so used to the focal distance that you're looking at. If you're looking at a screen for a long time, he said, just going out of your room and looking at something far in the distance is going to really help your eyes relax and refocus so you avoid the eye strain. And so that's one thing is important, is to actually physically get up, move, and look at something in the distance. Because if you're in a small room like this, looking at another monitor isn't really that far away. So, things like that, it'll all just help with the eye strain.
Yeah, I just want to add to all of this is as a content creator, or if you're teaching, just setting up the boundaries, time boundaries between whom you're working with. The time boundary thing is a big thing for me. I have a hard out in the evening because I want to go upstairs and make dinner. I want to enjoy my evening. So having hard outs, I don't take phone calls after a certain hour. And I establish that with people. I try my best not to do work that's not my own work, client work on the weekends. I know you just, sometimes we have to, but, and it has to be something super, super, super important. Like I have a client who's about to do a pitch for funding.
Right.
So last week, and I helped them, but I'm not, because my personal time makes me better in what I do in my day-to-day during the week. So I think just build that in also.
Yeah. And I love the post that you've been doing on Substack and Instagram, where you're being more mindful and helping people just really start to think about their day, like what's your morning routine and things that help you just keep the sanity, because it's really easy to just be locked in this room for hours and then you go out and it's like, oh, where's the day gone? And I think, Mark, you mentioned to me when you were doing your back-to-back podcast, I know it's not an everyday occurrence, but when you do have those long sessions, it's hard work, right? Because inevitably you don't have a lot of time in breaks between them. And I have that coming up, unfortunately, tomorrow and Wednesday, but it's not every month, it's every maybe quarter where I have to do batch recording. And I'll work in the evenings because a lot of my clients are in the US, so I have to sort of start on their time zone. But that's fine, because if I know that's happening, I will then take some time out for me during the day, and then I can sort of work in the evening. So you just sometimes have to adjust, I think.
Yeah, and I think the balance thing is often misconstrued in harmony. I think we talked about this before, about having a better word for it, because there are times when you have like a sprint and this week's really crazy, but it's just this week.
Yes.
And you pitch the other stuff around. And interestingly, it's not the same as the eye thing, but just the changing of the energy of what you're doing. So we've talked about being quite scheduled and sort of diary orientated for these things, but then some days I know I've got lots of things I want to achieve during this day, but I also quite like the fact that I can have a relatively free-flowing idea of it. So if my wife's at home practicing, she plays the violin, it might be kind of right, we'll do an hour, we're going to have a coffee break here, she's got what she wants to do done, I've got all day, so I kind of know how long some of these things are going to take, but I will just say, yeah, fine, I can do this bit now, and then we'll have a break, and then we'll do this. And that lack of the lack of rigidity, or whatever the word would be, is really nice, because a lot of what I do as a musician is sort of by the clock. It's this long for a rehearsal, then it's a break, and then a concert, and then it's all quite kind of bang 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 bang. So to have a day which is, even if you're working, just for it to be, I'm nice and free and easy. Oh, we could do this, we could listen to this, we could watch this, go for a quick walk now, let's do that. And I quite like that, because that feels really relaxing, and I'm probably more productive than I would have been if I've scheduled every hour and each coffee break and all the rest of it.
Stay flexible.
I think that's the important thing.
That's flexibility.
They call me Mr. Yoga.
Mr. Pilates right here. One thing I've started doing, which I haven't done for a long time, is you can't see it here, but basically started playing the piano again.
Really? Didn't we have that conversation 2 years ago?
Yeah, it took a while, but just give me time.
No shaming. I'm glad you're doing it, because I was like, you need to play again.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's something I've missed. And I did a live stream a couple of weeks ago where I was testing out an audio plugin, and the piano was there. So it's an excuse to play and relax for a little bit, but it also serves a purpose by demonstrating something. And it just feels really nice. So now if I get stuck on a video edit, or if I'm just a bit frazzled, that just takes me right out of that because my brain is not thinking about anything else. It's mostly thinking, I could play this at one point, but now I have to remember. But you know what it's like. You got to practice, right, Mark? You know this, obviously being a musician. So, but it's just nice. Even nobody else is listening to it. It's just me, and I just play, and it's just wonderful. So if you've got something other than the task that you're doing, as Lisa said, be flexible. Even if it's just going downstairs, having a coffee, walking outside, whatever it is, it's important. Yeah, and I think that's the self-care is something that a lot of people, especially when they're starting a business or trying to get going on YouTube, it's just this constant grind, and it's not good for you. We've got a few comments, so let me just go over to the comments thing. Oh, we have questions. Okay, so Saeed says, how do you decide on the best time to go live? Coin flip, deep analysis, trial and error, especially when we're in different time zones. Well, we'll take that first. How did we come up with this time? I think, go ahead, Lisa.
We looked at other people, what they were doing, first of all. So, don't reinvent the wheel. And then we looked at our schedules because it's late for you guys. And it was like, what time do you want to be doing this? And, be done. So it was a combination of the two, if I remember correctly.
And that's one of the reasons we're sort of starting an hour and a half earlier than we were in some of our previous seasons. It means that we kind of finish sort of 9:30 time we're in the UK and Neil in Portugal, which just suddenly gave me an hour or so to kind of wind down before I was then having to go to bed to then get up and work tomorrow. So that's a small change, but it's really sort of really good for me, that kind of thing. And I think the Monday, like I say, was based around other things that were happening, not wanting to sort of go over what other people were doing. And I think, like I say, worked in our schedules based on some of the other things we were doing as well.
Yeah, that's right. At the time, trying not to step on Ecamm, other shows of our friends. So just because.
And it is difficult because everybody's got a live schedule. And we were definitely mindful of that. And it's better that we're doing an hour earlier because it's easier for us, I think, isn't it, Mark, as we say? Because when we'd finished, by the time we'd wrapped up and had our chitty chat afterwards, it was 11 p.m. for us. Now, if you're Saeed who doesn't sleep or people like that, that's fine. But especially if you work the next day and you have to travel and things. So I think you've got to find a time that works for you. It's not always, you can't always please all the audience because in this global world that we live with these multiple time zones, it's not always easy to find a good time. And it's just whatever works for you. I used to do my Tech Talk Thursday live stream at 5 p.m. in the UK. And I just found that wasn't the best time necessarily for me. It wasn't the best time for Martin. And because Martin's an old man, I said, are you able to stay up until 8 o'clock so you could do this show? So and he did. So it's fine. So now we're moving it to 8 and more people seem to join us at that time because maybe it's a bit more convenient for people in the US as well. So it's just really trying to find your feet. Do you get those questions from your clients, Lisa, about, I want to go live. What's a good time to do that?
Yeah. One of the things I suggest in the beginning, if you're just starting and you're putting out content, like look at your analytics for the first month or so and see who's watching you from where. Like if you have a lot of people watching from the States, then what's convenient for you and where's your audience at? Start there. And then if you start to see a build that it's in the UK or whatever, that there's a big time difference, then you can adjust. You can always change your time. Nothing's set in stone, but use your analytics and see what other people are doing in your space and in other spaces that might be going live and, more popular shows.
Yeah.
Don't reinvent the wheel, like I said.
No, definitely not. We have another couple of comments, I think. Let's have a quick look. I'm glad you got your Stream Deck sorted. We were talking about this in a couple of live streams. So you got the Stream Deck with XLR. Fantastic. Let us know how that's working out for you. Hello. You agree on changing the focal distance? Yeah, I think it's good to Daryl just be able to look somewhere else and help, especially with wearing glasses. I wish we didn't have to do that. Works for me over breakfast. Oh, yes, because you're in Australia. So, hey, I think it's Wayne, isn't it? So thanks, Wayne, for joining us. So it's early morning for you. See, it is truly a global show, isn't it? You got like 3-4 time zones going on now. It's really good.
Yeah, that's great.
So I was going to ask you what, if any, new tools and stuff. Now we're going to rattle here because we only have an hour, Lisa. So I know you've been testing a lot of stuff. If you were to pick one workflow tool you've been playing with over the last couple of weeks, that's really, and the criteria is it's got to be really doing something for you in terms of either enhancing your workflow, making your life easier, and not just testing it.
Can I set Lisa off?
Go ahead.
Because she'll
gonna throw a hand
kind of
grenade.
this at me.
Okay.
Yeah. So not a new tool, but a big change, because we were just chatting about Canva. Because I was really rubbish at using Canva. You know, I'd sort of make the thumbnails and whatever, and they look like I've made them based on my artistic integrity from way back when, which is not ideal. But since, you know, the introduction of all the AI stuff, the ability to just use the prompts to get some really great visuals and the way it's all put together has been really, really good. It still takes me longer than it probably should, but I think the enhancement and the rollout of some of these tools in something I was already using has been really, really good.
Oh, sorry. So it's like stunned silence, Mark. It's like, good. So...
Oh my God, that's funny.
So you like using Canva now? is basically what you're saying.
I like using it before, but I think that the updates and the new modern things are really good. And I mentioned it because I know she's been diving into it quite big time. So I was just setting her up to kind of hit it out of the park.
Okay. Well, okay. So if Canva just did a huge rollout of a whole bunch of tools, but the one that I am paying attention to for myself and for clients is the video aspect of it and the editing aspect of it. They're really upping their game, really trying to become that all-in-one place that you can go and do that and create your slides and do your videos and bring music in. It's a little bit of Descript. It's a little bit of CapCut. It's a little bit of, it's this mixture that they've brought together. So I've been playing with that for the last few days. The other type of editing thing I've been playing with is Instagram Edits, their app. And I actually just used it the other day when I was working with a client because she needed to do some quick shorts. And beautiful. The footage looks beautiful, first of all, if you have it set correctly. And was really easy to edit on the go. So I'm playing with those two right now, again, for myself, for on the go, and then for clients to find easier ways for them to shoot and edit and get things out there immediately. I
was going to say about the Edits app because I've downloaded it and I've looked at it, and from what I've seen, it looks very easy to use. And it looks like it's got everything in there that you would need, because I know people used to go to CapCut, used to take the video. Yeah. This is an all-in-one, as you mentioned. And I think, and I think because it's Instagram's, I heard a rumor that because of the XIF or whatever it's called, information in the video that you record, if it's edited in the Instagram,
it gets pushed more.
It gets pushed more. Have you heard that too?
Yeah.
Sneaky, right?
So whenever Instagram or any of these platforms launch anything, they want you to use it. And if you use it, they'll push it more.
Promote
that's
it.
any of them.
Yeah.
That's YouTube. That's Instagram. So yes, they're the rumor of, if you're using, they put this thing out here, use it so you can see how it works and so it can get more popular. It's really easy to use. Like, why not?
Yeah.
Why not keep it all, in one place? So that's what I've been playing with. And it's interesting because I went to Canva, did their launch, was it 6 months ago?
That's right.
Like that in April. Yeah. So I went they had the big, showcase in Los Angeles. And the amount of changes that they did overall with everything, because they've made changes with email, they brought in things with presentations, there's a list goes on and on and on. And I encourage anybody, go to Canva and watch, some of the new things that would apply to you. Because there's some really great new app things you can do that will make your workflow a lot easier, I think. So, Mark, there's, I was thinking all of it is just like, if you're doing a workshop and you want to film something yourself, you can, bring in the slides. You can have yourself picture in picture. You can do all that stuff right within Canva. And why not?
Yeah, especially if you're creating stuff in Canva. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what struck me, and I've thought about this before, but while you were both talking there, is the fact that so much of these tools now, you're starting to see the same threads, aren't you? We want to be able to edit like this. We want to generate, obviously, video or imagery. We want the sound to be really organic. We want the actual editing process to be quick. And a lot of these tools are all doing the same thing, but in their own way. And it'll be interesting to see whether people who are already on whichever platform they like stay there because they all start to do the same thing in a way that you enjoy using, or whether some of them will just then start to miss the boat a little bit and we'll lose some of those tools in the ones that come and go, but there'll be some sort of mainstayers that keep going, and it'll be fascinating to see. But I think starting to understand that these things I want to be able to do with any piece of content, I can then choose not the tool that does the job, but the tool that can do pretty much all of the jobs that I want it to be. But maybe it's what I'm already paying for or whatever it happens to be that sort of makes it stick for you. So it's really key. It'd be interesting to see what they look like.
Yeah, and I think from a marketing perspective, when I think of Canva, if they look at who their population and their people that are using it, and they stay focused on what they want instead of trying, somebody who uses Photoshop and some of the Adobe products may not want to use Canva because that's not how they work, or it's not as advanced for them or whatever. And Adobe just did a big rollout too with Firefly and some other stuff. So it was interesting because it was Adobe, Canva, and Affinity, which is with Canva.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. But there were like 3 big rollouts between companies all within a week's time. So I always find that interesting when they do that.
They're all vying for your business because they're all trying to leapfrog each other, as we mentioned at the top of the call with AI tools. And you mentioned Affinity. So for those who don't know, Affinity is, I think it's part of Canva now because it says Affinity by Canva. And I actually just looked at these.
6 months ago.
I looked at these apps a couple of, I think it was yesterday or the day before. I can't remember. Whenever there was a free moment. And what's interesting is the Affinity app is an all-in-one app that's split into 4 discrete workflows. So if you I've ever played with DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve is a file management, a cut up and shut up editor. It's a fully fledged editor. It's got Fairlight, which is a sound mixing system in it. It's also got like visual effects, and then it's got an export. So it's got like 6 applications in one. So it takes you through the entire workflow. And what Affinity has done is included basically applications that are coming after Adobe in that one app. So in Affinity, you've got a vector program, so to vectorize all your images and create vector images. So that's directly coming after Adobe Illustrator. Then you've got one called Images, which is Photoshop. So anything that you can do in Photoshop pretty much with all the AI features you've got now in Affinity. And then you've also got a publishing app, which is like a desktop publishing app similar to Microsoft Publisher, for those who are old enough to remember that, and similar to Canva. And then it's all integrated with Canva. So you can use Canva's AI tools and taking any of those images out of Affinity and then pushing them into Canva. So they really are tightening up on the integration. And the best news about Affinity is it's completely free. So if you've already got a Canva account, you just log into the Affinity app with your Canva account and away you go. And I think it's even free for people who don't have a Canva account. You can just set up a free account and so on. So what they're doing is they're saying, forget about your Adobe subscriptions. Let's go straight after this product and do that. Now, obviously, as you've mentioned, a lot of big companies still work in Illustrator and Photoshop and so on. It's the file system they use. It's what they're used to. But if you're just starting out and wanted like a zero barrier to entry in terms of cost and using these apps, then go and check out Affinity, because they made a bold move. And I saw their keynote, which is interesting. The guy was stood up there. It was a beautiful set he was on. He was showing all these beautiful images, and everyone was like clapping, saying, "Oh, this is fantastic. This is vector images." It says, and here's one more thing, doing a Steve Jobs thing, leaning into camera. One more thing, it's free forever. And like everybody's mind blown. And it's this day and age where everybody's paying or asking for subscriptions or monthly fees or whatever it is, then that's a really good tool, I think, to use. So go and check it out. Saeed has a comment, of course. Let's see what Saeed says. I didn't mean of course, I meant Saeed has a comment. comma, of course. AI features only with paid Canva account from what I understood. Okay. So you get the free sort of bells and whistles, but obviously if you want the AI tools, yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, but Canva isn't that crazy expensive as well. It's like a yearly payment. Is it $100 or something like that? It's not huge bucks. Listen to me.
I don't know what bucks. I don't know what it is now because I've had it for.
Yeah, I've had it forever as well. And just as a heads up for any Restream users out there, I looked at my Restream account and my Restream speaking of subscriptions, and I thought, it's coming up for renewal. I'm always cheeky with Restream, and I say, I've been a customer of yours for 230 years. May I have a small discount, please, as a friendly, keep me here because I might go somewhere else, even though there isn't anywhere else to go. So if anybody from Restream's listening, it's all a bluff. And I looked online, and I realized I've been grandfathered in. So now the price is almost, I'd say it's an extra third of the price on top of what I would have to pay if I started off from scratch. So what I'm saying is, if you're with Restream and you're grandfathered into the account, one, don't be cheeky like me, and two, don't quit and have to rejoin, because they've done something like Descript has done. So if you were grandfathered into Descript, whereby if you wanted to change your subscription or go onto a different plan, you'd have to sort of pay for the higher tiered plan, and you don't get, back into that grandfathered plan. And also with Descript, I think they weren't allowing the new features for people who were grandfathered in, so you'd have to go into a new account as well. I hope Restream don't do that, but it's interesting how these companies now are looking at these subscription models and cheekily raising the prices. And somebody mentioned the other day that it's because of AWS has raised their prices. So in terms of storage and that, I don't know if I believe that, but maybe that is true. And maybe, Amazon with all their billions of profit are deciding to up the game on there as well. I don't know. I don't get it.
I think part of it is just that it's a new world with AI and all the extra tools. And I think when they're sort of setting themselves out as to what people are going to be prepared to pay for these things, their customer base already they're like, well, actually the reality is that people are going to want to use this, and so actually you can't be on that previous amount of money just because that wasn't what we were offering you before, because this whole thing is new. So I mean, with Descript, for example, I think their email to me was kind of because of all the features and because of what's available and because of the rest of our pricing structure, your subscription has to go up should you wish to continue to use it. And then you make that decision, and like we were talking about before, depending on what tools you're using, that might be the time where you think, actually I'm just going to start using more of the tools in something else I'm using, or actually it's worth it and I'll get rid of something else. Or or some people will just forget about it, and then in about 5 years time you suddenly realize you're paying through the nose for a million things and start to hack back and decide what you want to pay for and what you don't. But it is interesting. But I think there's a new benchmark now of what people expect to be able to do for all of these companies.
Do you remember?
I think they're trying to decide. Go ahead.
Real quick, I was just going to say, do you remember back in the day when these companies started to introduce a subscription model and the world lost their minds? Like what happened to the days of me buying a piece of software and then getting free updates for life? But now everybody's doing the subscription model. And it's become acceptable because I guess when you don't have a choice, I think you just have to go with it, right? I think that's the problem. And sorry, Lisa, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think with all of these things we're talking about and all the tools and all the choices, I think it would behoove everybody to sit down and do an audit of what they need to do.
Exactly.
What are the processes? What are the things they need to create, and really get granular as to, I have to do this, so I need this, this, and this, and map it all out, and then look at the tools available and see which ones work and start there. Because that'll save you money, it'll save you time, it'll save you frustration, I think. And so, take that time and do an audit of what am I doing and what do I need to do and what tools will help me execute that.
And there are lots of free alternatives out there as well that you can, and Saeed will testify to this. There's a lot of workflows that you can do with a little bit more work in terms of learning and upfront from you can really do a lot these days for zero cost. So again, it depends on what you are trying to achieve. And I think it is important, as you said, to do an audit, especially with all the subscriptions that you sort of might casually sign up to and then casually forget about. And I'm not suggesting that people are just frivolous with that, but it's it can be a bit of a, what's the word? A bit of a shock sometimes, because like, especially if you subscribe to something, I go do the subscriptions through the Apple subscription. So I make it a point every so many months to just check in my subscriptions list on my phone what I'm actually subscribed to and whether that's still relevant, and more importantly, why am I paying for this? Because, you know, I got a bill the other day for whatever it was, and it just says Apple payment, $100 and something. I'm like, what is this? Do I need it? And I was running over to the phone and looking, and then it was Zoom. Of course, I need Zoom, but you know, it's those things that are a bit of a shock. So look at what you can actually get away with in terms of your workflow. And I'd be interested to know in the comments, people who are still here, what tools do you use? Which ones have you managed to sort of, you know, use for free, and what works for you? Because how many, if you was to do an audit and say, how many subscriptions do you have this month? You know, it can start to mount up, especially with GPT and Claude, especially when the fact that a lot of these programs do run out of credits. Is there a particular one that you can't live without right now? If I was to say to you, you have to get rid of one of these apps, which one would you get rid of, and which one would you absolutely have to keep? I'm just going to throw that out there because you know, we're talking about subscriptions, just because I can.
I would.
Mark.
Mark. Well, just on kind of the way my kind of workflow's gone, I'm using CapCut less. I mean, I'm not a massively brilliant video editor, but between CapCut and Descript, I could do pretty much everything that I wanted to do. And CapCut I'm using less because I can do more within Descript. So that's probably the one that would and may well go in the near future. And also it just depends on how much I want to outsource as well. So you get to the point, I think what Lisa was saying as well, you sort of remember what are you using and why are you using it? Because when I do it that way round, it's like, what am I actually doing? I know we're talking about it from a creating point of view today, but if I'm doing it from my podcast point of view, I need to do this, and this, and I can do it with these tools. And that's kind of my base model, and then the rest of it's sort of my interest in and my things there. But yeah, definitely keep Canva, and CapCut probably be the one that I would let go currently. And
do you pay for CapCut, or is that the free version?
I did pay for it because of my creation of the videos that I wanted had some paid features,
right?
And because I wanted it to look the same for an amount of time, I did it. Is the paid, so that might be the reason that I just decided not to. But then it depends, because then all of a sudden I change a little bit of what I do, and then I'm glad I've got it. So it's always kind of a swings and roundabouts, isn't it? Depending on the ebb and flow of what you're actually creating.
Right. Lisa, have you thought of something, or do you want me to go? Give you some more time.
I don't know if I can answer this because
you like them all.
What I'm using, I don't like them all. I like parts of all of them. Each one serves a different purpose. So for what I need right now in my workflow, so there's nothing. What I have now, I wouldn't take away, and I'm not thinking of adding anything.
Yeah,
that's a fair answer.
No, that's a good answer. And I've already streamlined some of my tools. You know, I was a big Descript user. I had this sort of love-hate relationship. I loved it one week. I hated it the other week because they'd changed something and whatever. And no disrespect to Descript, you know, they've got to keep up with stuff. The primary use for Descript at the time was the podcast edits, and the really ease of use of just that seamless sort of workflow where I don't have to jump into a non-linear editor and start faffing around, because it's much easier for me, especially in a podcast, and especially with the ums and ahs removals and all those kinds of bells and whistles that you had. Just that text editing is fantastic. If they have that in Final Cut, I wouldn't have been using Descript at all. But because they don't, I still have to use something else. So I got rid of Descript a month ago now or something, and then switched over to Riverside, because Riverside did everything that I wanted to do plus more. It also gave me an opportunity to use Riverside in conjunction with some of my client work where Ecamm wasn't a good fit, let's say. So effectively I could use Riverside to record locally for the podcast work, and then I would do the editing there. And I'm finding that Riverside is working, even though it's not the quickest, as Lisa pointed out. It doesn't seem to be the fastest at rendering and things like that. It's more reliable in my use cases right now than Descript ever was, where Descript would maybe crash, where it would lose maybe the project. at least I know that in Riverside, yes, it might take a little bit longer to render and then give me that export or that version where I could start editing. I find the audio processing in it and the way that you can sort of chop up the workflows is great. I didn't use all the bells and whistles in Descript with Underlord and all the scenes, because they introduced some really nice scenes and things, which I still like, and I do miss those, where you can have those, layouts and the scenes, and you can edit the text and things. Riverside's got some of that, but it's not as full featured, I think. And it'll get there. But Riverside is incrementally adding things slowly without changing too much. And I think that was the biggest problem that people have with Descript is if you're going to change the UI to a point where people can't find what they used to work with, it becomes a little bit difficult for people. People don't like change. So that was my biggest shift. If I could get rid of one of the tools, I use Canva every day. I like to sort of almost live in Canva now for mainly for the thumbnails and the artwork for clients and things like that. I don't think I can get rid of anything right now.
If you've streamlined, then there's no point in it.
Unless something else comes up, and Final Cut is a paid for, it's like a one-time payment, and I've used it forever. I tried DaVinci.
And I use
go ahead.
Yeah, I use Premiere Pro,
right,
because there's some things in there that you
like the text editing is in there and lots of other cool stuff.
Yeah, it's all in there. So that will pull me away from Descript. I'll just go there.
Yeah.
And then I use Riverside for other reasons. So
and
Ecamm, and so like I said, everything, there's a purpose for everything. There's no one tool that can do everything for me now.
No, there's no way. I mean, my tool of choice for recording and everything is Ecamm. I do all my videos and things on there, but I'm not a one-take person. As I said, I'll take everything I do in Ecamm and pop it into Final Cut, and I might throw it into Riverside. So it's not one tool that does everything, and I don't think we'll ever get to that point because you've got crossover where it's almost like you're stepping in my lane. So you wouldn't expect a program like Ecamm or OBS to be able to do text-based editing, for example. That's not its wheelhouse. So why would you have that?
Yeah.
And then you just have a bloated piece of software that's got everything in it that just becomes inefficient in its own right, and then you end up having to put it in another tool because it doesn't work very well. I don't know. My experience of sort of tools.
I think
like
an example of that are like I don't want to name names, but there's email programs that you can use. I'm not naming names, but they may offer a lot of things, but they don't do everything well. And so then you still have to go get another tool, a CRM tool or something else to make it work the way you want it to work, because they don't have that built in. So it's kind of the same,
I know the tool you're talking about, and I'll talk to you offline about it because I was going to ask you a question about it. It's just going to
because I have much to say.
I actually wrote it down here. I think it's the one you're talking about because somebody mentioned it to me today. I'm like,
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. We'll talk.
We'll talk. A couple of more comments. I've just gone past the comments. So 1 sec. I don't know who I'm saying 1 second to. It's like, hang on, everybody.
That's right. We'll
just wait. Oh, yeah. So I came to tell you about the Stream Deck Plus with the XLR adapter. And guess what? It's working good. Fabulous. Thank you for letting me know. Saeed is using, most of the tools he uses free. That's his favorite F word. I think I only pay for Zoom, ChatGPT, and LinkedIn Premium. I'm curious about LinkedIn Premium.
Yeah.
Tell me, what does that give you? Why LinkedIn Premium? Does that give you the LinkedIn sales navigator? I don't think it does, but let me know. Saeed also says Figma, DaVinci. Oh, interesting. Using the free version of DaVinci, Figma, Cal, which is a good option instead of using Calendly, OBS, etc. All free. Yes. Saeed turned me on to Cal. I was like, why did I pay for Calendly again? But anyway, that was good. And Rose Gold mentions, anybody remember the Jandale news? I don't understand what that is. So you have to explain that to me. Anyway, somebody's going to say something. Okay.
Oh, I was going to say I'm all for the free. I think where people move over to the paid is the integrations that they can have with other tools that you may not necessarily get with some of the free.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's, again, you can do a lot out there now with the free tools. And I think you just got to, decide what is your time worth when it comes to actually working with these things.
That's
like
it.
Mark said, maybe it's better to offload the video editing piece and outsource it to somebody else, because then you could potentially have more time, one, to spend with your family, or two, to work with a client that's going to pay you for that, which would offset the cost of that. And I think when you're starting off, you have a tendency to just do everything, because you have to, right? If you're starting off as a solopreneur and you're trying to start up a business, you're not going to start outsourcing everything unless you've had a cash injection. So if you're starting from scratch, you've got to really see what works. And only over time, I think, do you get familiar with the tools that'll help streamline your workflow. And then with the addition of automation, you can do stuff in the background very easily, I think, and make that workflow really sing. If it's automated, then why not? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think for me, there were certain things that I just wanted to know that I could get out what I needed to get out, even if I wasn't the best at it. And then, like, say, offloading it or outsourcing it is quite good. But just every now and again, just to have to do the complete of everything, all the editing, all the recording, all the whatever it happens to be, knowing that you can do the whole shebang yourself is a really important thing.
I think piggyback on that is important. To know how to do everything yourself, just in case your editor or whatever is not around and you have a deadline, just to kind of know how to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Saeed mentioned that he has, I'm sorry, Mark, one sec. I have a deal for €10 for years now and don't want to cancel it. For LinkedIn Premium. Ah, okay, I see. So you got a good deal with LinkedIn Premium. Now I get it. Sorry, Mark, you're saying.
Well, just a couple of things, because I know we've been going for an hour now. One thing to people watching in terms of this show was just, because we did quite a switch from that kind of sort of game playing and having a sort of a real laugh to the kind of, talking about the tools and the things that we're doing as well. So my question to everyone is kind of, what are your thoughts on the development of what we're doing in terms of the more sort of focused conversations about the topics and things, rather than it just being an Ecamm hangout session, as it were. And not that, I'm just curious as to what people think about that. And on the tool front, I was just thinking about my favorite coffee shop. We drive 15 minutes or so to go there. They're coffee roasters, and they expanded in the new place that they did when they moved their coffee roasting business. So you can sit in, have coffee now, and they do bagels, various versions of bagels, and they're brilliant. And the guy that owns it was literally he's so passionate about his coffee, and they wanted to provide some kind of food, and they've got a few sort of sweet treats as well, but that's what they do. No massive menus, no other versions. And I really love that, because I know exactly what those options are. I know what the feel is. I know that the people involved in it are really passionate about what they do, and I buy into that. I mean, the product is brilliant, but it's not like there's a million things to choose from, and it's a little bit like Ecamm. Like you said, there's no editing in there. It does what it does, but it does it brilliantly. And with the community and all the people that we've met, I want to be part of that, because it's an amazing thing, and it doesn't necessarily need to do the same thing as a Riverside, where you can have it all in one, because it's actually a different tool and works in a different way. And there's something about not the simplicity, but the focus of what you're trying to do and why you're trying to do it. And you sort of put your hand on your heart and say, this is what we do and why we do it. And you're like, yeah, I get that, and I'm happy to do that, and I'll use a different tool, or I'll work in a different way. And so I think being really clear on what you want and why you're doing it, and people sort of joining you on that journey is it'd be interesting how that sort of develops as sort of new technologies emerge as well. Definitely.
A few more comments before we close up. I didn't even realize I've got this clock over here, and I didn't even realize an hour had gone by so quickly. So Saeed said, I am only here because it's not a 60-minute Ecamm infomercial, like the different topics, especially the geeky ones. Fabulous. That's what we want to see. And Wayne says, Adobe just upped my subscription by a lot. Automatically.
Interesting.
Ooh, that hurts. Yeah. Okay.
And my LinkedIn is offering me a pretty big percentage to come back.
Adobe's offering you a percentage to come back?
LinkedIn.
Oh, LinkedIn. Oh, are they?
Yeah. So that's interesting.
Interesting. Well, there you go. That's where people are trying to sort of capitalize on that. And I don't like the fact that companies will just automatically up your subscription without giving you a heads up, saying, at least the script was kind enough to say, these are the reasons why we're doing it. It's going to happen in a couple of weeks. Not like, boom, automatic and stuff like that. Next week, we have a fabulous guest, which is Billy Thorpe. And it is next week, isn't it? I'm just checking to my wonderful colleagues here to go, just give me that little...
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You are correct.
Oh, thank goodness. Sorry, it's been a day, as you know. So next week, we've got Billy Thorpe joining us, who is, I mean, if you describe Billy as the Amazon selling maestro, right? He does Amazon live selling. He's taken that to a whole new level. If you've ever seen any pictures from Billy's Instagram account, you'll see that his rooms are full of boxes, chock full, floor to ceiling, of boxes from Amazon. And he's mastered the art of, I think he once said he did like a 2-minute, he does like these 2-minute reviews, like unbox, these are the features done. Because people don't want to spend 10 hours looking at videos and then trying to decipher. It's like, get in, get out, boom, that's it. So that's basically what he's doing. So he's going to be joining us next week to talk about his journey on Amazon selling and how you get into it. Because I have no idea, and he's been very successful in doing this. I think he's got his own sort of workbook now, his playbook on how to do this. He's got some cohorts going on. He's got some communities that he's set up. So really looking forward to Billy. We wanted to get him on the show since we met him at Creator Camp some years back. So if you're interested in Amazon live selling, be here, same time, same place next week. And we've got Billy joining us. It's going to be a fun day. There you go. And what did Wayne say? Everybody thinks I'm crazy, Billy Thorpe. Okay. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. I'm not following that. Maybe it's too late in the day for me. I'm not sure what's going on. But anyway, any more closing thoughts from my wonderful co-hosts here? That's you guys, by the way. There's nobody behind you, Mark.
Yeah. I was just thinking about bringing the hamster back just for a little side, just to keep Saeed happy, because I know he enjoyed the hamster.
Oh yeah, I'll have to find him. I'll have to find. I don't know what you call. What's the pronoun for a hamster? Let's just leave it at that. I haven't found the hamster. I don't know where the hamster is. He's probably somewhere in the other profile. I don't even have a button for the hamster, so we'll find out. But anyway, if you want to keep in touch with us, we are on Substack. Load, thank you. And and we're live. You see, we can see ourselves.
Yeah,
there you go. There you go. We're still live, but we are on Substack. Scan that QR code to keep in touch with us. We regularly post on Substack. There's lots of information on there, some topics that we love, all about live streaming, content creation, keeping our sanity, workflows, and all that kind of stuff. So that's where to find us. And we'll be here same time, same place next week with Billy Thorpe, and looking forward to that. So until then, if there's anything else from either of you, it's goodbye from not so sunny Portugal, the UK, and LA.
Go and have a lie down, Neil. You deserve it.
Yeah, go rest.
See you soon. Bye.